Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and as promised in my last video, I have a tiny neighborhood for you. And as you can see, we're kind of already starting where I did the terrain manipulation and added some stairs. So apologies for not having that in the video, but I am not very good at it. So it took me a very long time. I knew it was going to, so I just didn't even bother recording it, because I feel like if you don't have the terrain at the right height, the stairs don't go in right. Like I watch builders who can just do it. It seems like they can do it really easily. I don't know if that's actually the case, but based on their videos, it feels like it's a lot easier for them than it is for me. But in case you're someone that struggles with terrain and everything, I understand. I'm totally with you. But I just thought it would be such a cute idea to have a little neighborhood of 4 tiny homes, and I try to make each of them a different shape and each of them have a different design, so that it really is like a little neighborhood instead of like an apartment kind of thing where they're all the same. I figured this might be a really good rental lot. I did upload this to the gallery as a regular residential lot, so that you can download it whether you have the For Rent pack, and you can decide how you want to do that, especially since I know For Rent still has, I think, some issues with it. So you can kind of decide for yourself how you wanted to do it. And I think it turned out super cute, and this has been play tested. Everything does work out, even if it doesn't necessarily look like it would. And I say that because they all are smaller homes, so some of the things are a little squished. But it is up on the gallery under my ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And I had, I guess, really in terms of who lived in them, I really only have a sim backstory for one of them in terms of the explanation as to how I decorated the apartment. Or I say the apartment, the home. And that's actually the back right one is the one that I actually have a story for. But the rest of them, I honestly just kind of went with what I felt. And I will say I didn't use any round walls in this build. However, I used diagonal walls, which I don't usually do just because it just doesn't usually end up that way that I need a diagonal wall. However, when you use diagonal walls, things just get a little bit weird. For instance, if you have a kitchen on a diagonal wall, there's weird shadowing that happens with it. That happens in one of them, so I'll probably mention it when we get to that one in particular. But it also, when you try to make rooms with a diagonal wall, the spacing, like if you're trying to do like a 2x2 bathroom or something, it ends up being a little bit bigger or smaller than you think it's going to be just because it's a diagonal wall. But I will say that this apartment, I keep calling it an apartment, this tiny home, I love this Home Chef Hustle kitchen that I used. I originally wasn't going to use this kind of color scheme in here, but I found that swatch in the cabinets and fell in love with them. Like I had to use it. It was like not negotiable. Like I had to use it because it was just so pretty. And I think it turned out so lovely. In this home, it is kind of like a studio in that there is a Murphy bed. This is the only one that actually has a Murphy bed, but I figured I should probably use one at some point. And this may actually be the smallest one, but I feel like it ends up being really cute. Honestly, I love all of them. And actually on that note, once you see them, let me know which one is your favorite, because I am curious. They all are very distinct, I feel like, in style. So I'm wondering, what everybody's favorite is. And I kind of just cut over me trying to figure out this floor plan, because like I said, with the diagonal wall, it just made things a little bit difficult. And I end up using that tiny home, or the tiny living stereo TV combo there just because it works super well. And we do end up even having a little office area as well. I used, I think, some of the stuff maybe from the Cozy Gamer kit. I can't remember, but I do end up using that lovely tile there in the bathroom, and this ends up being a really spacious bathroom just because of the diagonal wall. But it works out really well. So I think, like I said, this has been play tested. Your sim can put the bed down, get in the bed, put it up, all that kind of good stuff, and you shouldn't have any issues. And another weird thing with diagonal walls, you can see I was messing with the curtains for that window. When you put windows on diagonal walls, they get bigger. So they become a weird size. And so finding curtains and stuff that make sense is a little more difficult. So I definitely I guess maybe that's partially why this build actually took me a little while. and just trying to figure out, how I want to do this. Now, of course, this is a longer build, so if you haven't already, grab a snack and, a beverage and come hang out for a little while, because I guess since I ended up building 4 separate tiny homes, this definitely ended up being a longer build, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super cute, and I feel like you could do a lot of cool storylines with that idea too, with having multiple Sims living here, that kind of thing. And I really like the idea of it being a rental lot, to be honest, just like having a bunch of neighbors around. But you could also do this with Sims just in a household. So you could just kind of basically lock doors so that they only go in their own homes, if that makes sense. And I do have some kind of communal areas as well. Like we have a picnic table, a grill, that kind of stuff. There's a swing set, a basketball goal. So there is stuff for your Sims to do out on the lot as well, not just inside of their home, especially since these are tiny homes. So by definition, they don't have as much here. And I figured having this Sim maybe be into like making pizza. So having the pizza sauce clutter and stuff over in the corner was just really cute. And I honestly haven't used the pizza oven very often in my builds or in my gameplay, but the times I have, it's actually really convenient. Like it doesn't take long. Being able to do that and walk away, and like your Sim can do other things is really nice. And then serving a whole meal, so especially if you have a house full of Sims, it's a really easy way to feed everybody. I think it's really cute, like I've done before. Like the kids in the house had like a sleepover and the parents made some pizza for them, and I just thought it was really adorable. But anyways, that's totally off topic, but because it's not like you're gonna have a bunch of kids in this home. But I figured, if you want to, you might be able to squeeze some in here. I figured most of these Sims are going to be, I guess you could have a teen living here since they can live on their own, but I doubt there's really going to be any kids, although I guess you really could in the double bed. Like if you had a parent and a kid, I think they can share the same bed, so you could have something like that in here. And then just adding in a little lounger out here, because I just thought that would be really cute that the Sim could come and just hang out on their front porch. And of course, if you do the rental lots, you can decide whether or not you want other Sims to use their front porches or not. That's obviously totally up to you. And as usual, if you need to download it and change things, feel free to do so. If you want to make it to where more Sims or kids could fit in here, you can of course change things around, make the kitchen smaller, that kind of thing. Whatever you want to do with it. And then I think we end up going across the way. I think that's the next house we end up doing. I'm trying to remember because I started this a while ago, and like I mentioned in one of my other videos, I'm really trying to go through and finish builds that I haven't finished yet, that have kind of just been sitting there for a while. So this has just been a little bit since I actually did some of these homes, because I just finished it not that long ago. I think it ended up taking me 5 different recording sessions to finish this. This is a long speed build, so I guess that makes sense. It just took me a little while. So for this one, I tried to go with a kind of that sagey green and black color scheme. I figured this Sim is a little more minimalistic. So honestly, there's not a lot of clutter in here, which is definitely unusual for me, but that's kind of what I figured this Sim would want. Like this is just what their house would look like. I don't know what this Sim does for work or anything like that. I just figured that it would be really cute. And then just putting some planter box things over here. Well, I guess they're not planter boxes, the planter pots that you can garden in, which of course I just put some bushes in there, but you can take those out if you want your Sim to actually be able to garden. That's totally up to you. And that is another good thing if you'd like to add some more gardening stuff around in the common areas, like have a community garden, that would be really cute. So of course, feel free to add that if you would like to. And then in this one, this does actually have a separate bedroom, unlike the last one, but I do end up separating it just by a doorway and like a door frame and some curtains. So for some reason, I think because of the way this one was set up, putting a door there just made it feel very closed off and just a little dark, and just a little, like it felt a little smaller, if that makes sense. So I just ended up using a archway instead, and then putting curtains. I figured, if they want privacy, they would pull the curtains, that kind of thing. And in case you didn't know, if you do hang curtains over doorways, your Sims can just walk through them. They ignore curtains, if that makes sense. So it does look a little weird if you do actually hang curtains over an archway. They'll literally just walk through them, but it's a really cool way to actually separate off spaces without without having to use a door, if that makes sense. And those kind of curtain-y things, which I don't think they're under the curtain category, if I remember correctly, but they're from the, I think it's the Riviera Retreat kit. But I thought that was really cute. I think they are made for door frames, basically, just kind of what I'm using them as. But I thought they looked really cute. And then just, again, using a lot of basically we used a lot of Dream Home Decorator, I feel like, in here, just because all of that stuff matched really nicely. And then just like, again, doing a lot of the gray, sage, and black swatches in here. And I feel like it took me a little bit to do the bedroom, kind of figuring out what I wanted. And this is really, I think, when I decided that I really wanted it to be a little more minimalistic, when I was trying to decide on wallpaper and things like that. But I think it ended up turning out really cute. Again, I tried to make every tiny home, you know, different and distinct from each other, so you really do have like a bunch of different Sims here if you do create them and put them in this home. And then doing like a tiny little dining area in the corner, along with the living room would be on the other side there, and then mixing up some cabinets here. I'm trying to remember, do I leave them as the black and sage? I honestly, like I said, it's been a little bit since I did it. No, I swapped it. I think I thought about, I really love the idea of doing that, but I feel like sometimes it just doesn't look quite right, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't even put very much in terms of clutter in the kitchen, which is very much unlike me. But don't worry, I did include some fruit. There's fruit in, I think, all 4 of the tiny homes. So not just 1, but 4 fruit. Fruit bowl kind of things. I end up using, is it the Cozy Kitsch kit, I think, had the plates with some apples on it. That's what I end up using on the dining room table. So we're going with, that is the fruit bowl for this. They just have a couple of apples. And then in here, just kind of combining a lot of the space here. I end up putting a, what am I trying to say? A bookcase. I forgot the word bookcase. So we put a bookcase in here, the TV, a really nice sitting area here. I do not think I put in an office in here. So if you'd like to, of course, you can add in a computer, especially at the dining room table, that kind of thing. You could probably squeeze in, if you took out that corner, like I think I ended up putting the bookcase over there. You could put like a little desk over there if you felt like it. You know, do whatever you want to do to make this fit the Sims you have. But of course, if it's a rental, I don't think you necessarily have to worry about something like that. Although I'm trying to remember if that kind of counts towards your score of whether or not, you know, it's a good home or rental, if that makes sense. So I don't know, let me know. I've only played with For Rent like once. And I did like a rags to riches with a Sim, and it started doing the thing where I couldn't add roofs, and it just started not working properly. And so I ended up, unfortunately, I haven't played that save in a while, which is really sad because I was having a really good time with doing that. But maybe they'll fix some of the issues it was having, and, you know, I can go back to it. And again, just putting just like a little bit of stuff here in the kitchen, and I think it ended up looking really cute. And, you know, for me, it was difficult to not put a bunch of stuff everywhere, but I think it really looked good this way, if that makes sense. And then putting the little poof there under the bookcase, I don't think your Sim can actually use it, but I like the idea that they have like an extra seat under there so that they can pull that out for guests, that kind of thing, even though it's not something your Sims would do. Although it is sticking out far enough, maybe your Sims could actually still sit on it. That one I didn't test that because I just figured your Sim couldn't use it, because I do put some stuff in my builds even though I know that your Sim can't use it. I just like the way it looks. And oh, I do remember I don't know why, but I remember doing this and forgetting which way I needed to put the bathtubs so that your Sim can get to the toilet and the bathtub, and I was wrong. So I end up swapping this bathroom around. So you want the toilet on the opposite side of like the shower head, basically, in order for that to be functional. So I just kind of swap it around. So what is up on the gallery is functional. And so I was about to say, you probably really won't notice in the screenshots, but if you do, it did get swapped around for that. And then I think we end up moving to the back right tiny home next, I think is the next one that I end up doing. And like I said, that's the only one that I really have a story for. I say a loose story, like an idea of who actually ends up living there. So I figured for this home that this was 1 or 2 grandparents and they have like a grandkid that likes to come visit. So there's randomly some kid stuff around here, and I kind of went with that like cats and dogs kind of look for everything here. I do end up actually making this house a tiny bit bigger, since I was really thinking about having a little bit more space so that they could have their grandkid come over, that kind of thing. And of course this build is like this particular tiny home is like totally basically a diagonal. Like I think all of the walls are diagonal, so that definitely posed a little bit of a challenge when I was trying to fit everything in here. But I really love the way this one turned out, even though this isn't my typical style. I think it just ended up looking super cute. Like I said, I do end up, I think, just making it a little bit wider so things fit in a little bit better, and the bathroom ends up being a little bit bigger. And I will say the bathroom it looks a little bit awkward, but it does work. Like I said, and I do end up kind of swapping the kitchen around to the other corner there, and if you can kind of see there, the tile like is really dark there, kind of on that backsplash area, and that's because of the diagonal wall. I don't know what it is about putting counters on diagonal walls that causes that, but in case you're wondering why it's a little bit dark, that's why. And so I swapped it to a darker counter so it's not quite as obvious that that's happening, if that makes sense. So hopefully it doesn't bother you too much, but since literally this whole entire home is a diagonal, this is kind of what it needed to be. And so we end up swapping it around, and then I put in almost like a bay window as well, because I figured that'd be a really cute eating area. Like I end up putting a high chair in there, and I will say I think after doing kind of this space is when I took a break, like a longer break on this build, because there was just something about this tiny home that was not making sense to me in terms of how I wanted everything laid out. So taking a break and then coming back, I think, helped a whole lot, and I end up just making it a little bit bigger. So this is definitely the bigger one, but I guess since this is like probably like two grandparents, like they probably have money to have a bigger tiny home, if that makes sense. So you can see we kind of jumped to it looking a little bit different in terms of the actual architecture of the home, but I like it so much better. I think it is much more cohesive, and there's really space for everything I wanted to. I ended up swapping out one of the dining chairs for a high chair, although I've been having issues with high chairs randomly lately. I don't know if anybody else is having it, or maybe like I'm having some sort of mod issue maybe that's causing that to happen. I don't know. I also have noticed in my game that a lot of Sims are pregnant. Like an unusual amount of Sims are pregnant. So I'm assuming there's something up. I don't even have that many mods. Like something must be happening. I'm assuming that's not something that's just happening across the board, but let me know if it is, or if you know what mod might be causing that. Like if you've heard of a mod doing that. But anyways, it was an interesting thing that I've noticed. And I really wanted to put a fireplace in here, and I end up just putting like two cozy chairs over by the fireplace. I envisioned the grandparents just kind of hanging out by the fire, maybe watching TV, just kind of, hanging out with their grandkid kind of thing. I think it ended up looking so cute in here with the little candles and the little bunny bookends and everything. It just, I don't know. It feels so cozy and adorable. And I was really excited about the way this turned out. And their bedroom ended up being a little bit bigger, which was nice too, to make sure they had room to kind of get around and all. And I figured, if they are older, maybe they would have more stuff. Although maybe because they are older, they ended up getting rid of a lot of stuff, So I guess it could really go either way. But then just making this area look really cozy. And I ended up squeezing in that brick under the fireplace there that we got with the recent base game update. And again, this was done before Businesses and Hobbies, so in case there's places you feel like maybe some of those items would be better, of course you can swap those out, that kind of thing. But I'm going back on a backlog of builds and trying to finish them up, and I definitely still have plenty more to go. But I thought it'd be really cute, like just to have a space for them to hang out, and then like having the little poof there for the kid to come sit and hang out with them as well. And I end up putting that little wall toy thing. I don't know what to call it there on the wall, but like some books and a little toy basket, that kind of thing for their grandkid. I do end up putting an actual toy box outside since that toy basket is not functional. I wish it was. Like, I feel like that would be really cute if they could actually use that as a toy box, since it literally is a basket full of toys. But anyways, I feel like I'm like wishing for too much with that. But we do end up putting one on the front porch. And I think we also put a stuffed animal out there too. So, you know, the kid can do some skill building. I imagine maybe that it's a toddler that's coming over, but of course, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be. That's just kind of what I was envisioning. And then combining some curtains here, because I just thought it would be really cute to do that. And using, I believe that's cats and dogs wallpaper. And then we have the cottage living rug, which ended up, I think, looking really cute in here. And then I end up putting, there's a cottage living dresser. I end up putting it on a diagonal in the corner there, and your sim can get around and everything, but I just thought that would be a really nice piece to have. And I just thought it looked kind of cool to have it on a diagonal, and I think it just fit a little bit better that way. And then having those adorable little sconces there on the wall, having maybe a book that they're reading, maybe pictures of their grandkid, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. The lore was, you know, I really thought about it with this one. Not as much with the other ones, but I just thought it was really cute. I did end up having to kind of scoot some things around a little bit when I was playtesting over by like the dining table. I don't think it really looks very different. I just kind of had to move some things around a little bit. So if you do notice that, I did have to move some things around. And here when I'm doing the bathroom, like I said, since it's on a diagonal, it is a little more than a tile like wide, if that makes sense. So trying to fit everything in, it was like there was extra room, but stuff was kind of squished. And so what I ended up doing was doing like a double sink. One end was devoted to the shower, the other end was just the toilet, and then we ended up squeezing in one of those like fake laundry baskets in the corner because I thought that was really cute. There is no laundry on this lot, but of course that would also be something that you could add if you would like to. I feel like I don't put laundry in my builds super often just because I feel like it's a commitment to use laundry in gameplay, if that makes sense. But your sim can get to everything in this bathroom, and I thought it ended up looking really cute over here. I didn't put like a wall separation or anything with the shower just because I feel like it would be a little bit closed off if I tried to do that. But of course, if you want to try to add some sort of partition, you can, although the spacing of this is a little bit awkward, so I don't know how easily you'd be able to add something in there. And I do know that, is this the wreath that we recently had an issue with, like Sims being able to use the door when it was on it? I can't remember. Maybe, but I think it was fixed. I'm hoping that you don't have any issues with this wreath, which, yeah, I play tested it. The sim was totally fine, so they could walk through this door. But it was funny because I almost never use wreaths on my door, but I remember when I was building this, I put one on the door, and then someone had said that, I think it was a video I was watching or something, that there had been issues with that, and I was like, oh, it figures. The one time I put a wreath on the door, there is an issue that's happening in the game. But I think it's been fixed because, like I said, I've been play testing it, but I just thought it was funny. I literally was thinking, of course it was like an issue, you know what I mean? And then just adding like a little coffee cup out here because I just thought that was really cute. Like maybe they come and sit out here, read, and, you know, have their morning coffee kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like I see that a lot on shows, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not a morning person. Does anybody like actually sit down like with a cup of coffee, read this newspaper, if you even get newspapers anymore, or like read the news, however you get your news, that kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe it's like I would like to be that person, but I know I'm not. I'm not a morning person. That it's just, I'm definitely more of a night owl. But anyways, it's totally random. But for this, I ended up making it a studio, and I was in love with this bed. Like, it was necessary. I needed to use it. And for this kitchen, it is very small. So I end up just I swap it out for a mini fridge, and I end up putting the Dream Home Decorator oven on top of it and using the Dream Home Decorator range there, and then combining it with I think that's the Home Chef Hustle dishwasher. And so that way basically you really don't need a sink in the kitchen because they can just use the dishwasher for dishes, if that makes sense. And there's a sink in the bathroom as well. But just to make this space work, I kind of made this tiny area, and your sim can cook on corner counters. So you don't have any issues with that. And you can use the stove on top of the dishwasher. I say, at least at the time of me filming this and playtesting it, it worked. So if in the future you see this video and it no longer works that way, I apologize. I feel like that's happened before with items, like items worked one way and then they didn't work that way anymore, if that makes sense. So hopefully that stays true. But just adding in a little bit of clutter, I just thought it'd be really cute to have a high top table over here. And I struggled a lot with where I wanted to put the bedroom and bathroom. And I can't remember, I feel like when I originally was doing this, I actually wanted a dedicated bedroom, if that makes sense, but it just didn't end up working out that way. But just trying to find, again, with all these like diagonal angled walls, like figuring out where to put the bathroom and everything. But I really end up loving this. The aesthetic of this home actually ends up being really pretty and colorful. I know, surprise, right? I really like the one that's covered in a bunch of colors. And as a reminder, let me know which one is your favorite, since we are looking at the fourth one here. Of course, we still need to do the exterior, all of the kind of public areas of this neighborhood. But don't forget to let me know which one is your favorite, because I'm always curious what, you know, your preferences are. So as someone who watches Sims builds, you know, the kind of aesthetics that you like. And I loved this wallpaper. I was so excited. I wanted to use this so badly because ever since we got it, I always try to use it. I feel like, I don't know why, but I just think it's so pretty. I think I'm really into floral wallpapers right now. Like, I want to use floral wallpaper in my house, and I don't know, out of nowhere, I just feel like that would be really awesome. Like, I really love the floral wallpaper we just got with businesses and hobbies. Like, I don't know, I would love that in my own home. I know I mentioned it when I did that limited pack build recently, but I don't know. I think I want that in my home. So maybe that's why I just want to use this everywhere. But we end up putting the bathroom kind of over by the dining room, which I know is a little weird, but the door is fairly far away from the actual food prep area. But since it is a tiny home, I guess it's not surprising that stuff's a little squished together. And maybe not how you would be like ideally building a home, if that makes sense. I think I end up squeezing in one of those like bookcase display things. I don't know what to call it, from the tiny home stuff pack. It's a stuff pack. I remember the names of stuff and then I forget whether it's a kid or a stuff pack or a game pack, all that kind of stuff. But we end up putting that over there, and I thought that looked really cute and kind of filled in that area and worked as some really nice storage here. And then we end up having this really open area. We do have like a dedicated living room space, as well as a nice office area as well. So your sim, I figured this sim was into video games, so I made sure they had a nice computer, and I end up putting a game console with the TV as well, because I figured that's something, you know, they would really enjoy doing. And I will say I definitely swapped stuff around a lot. I wanted to squeeze in another window over here, and trying to figure out how I was going to do that definitely took me a minute. So this took on a bunch of different variations until I figured out how I wanted to do this, but I think it turned out really nicely here in the end. And I know, I'm sure it was very concerning when I put the floral wallpaper literally everywhere, but I mean, I knew it was a lot and that I probably shouldn't use it everywhere, but combining it with this paranormal wallpaper, I think worked out really nicely, and I liked the way that it turned out. And then I think this is the werewolf desk, I believe, which honestly, I really love that desk. And to me, it doesn't even super fit in with the werewolf stuff, since the werewolf stuff, a lot of it is very distressed. And I think some of the swatches are, but that one is such a pretty swatch that I thought it'd be really nice to have in here. A nice little compact desk. I know we don't have too many of them. A lot of the desks we have are the like 2-tile ones, but I figured that's a little bit much for this space. So then including that cute little controller there, and as well as like a little stereo thing there on that coffee table, and of course some game posters. I think ended up looking really cute in this area, and I feel like I wanted to do the cozy gamer computer, but it just felt a little bit too much. Like, it was just a little bit too big. And I did test it. Your sim, I always wonder, I don't use the game consoles very often, but like where it needs to be in reference to the TV, or you know, how close it needs to be so that your sim can actually use it, but your sim shouldn't have any issues using it. And like I said, it's just not an item I use super often. I did struggle a little bit with the exterior of this house just because it was so colorful, and how to blend it together so that the exterior made sense to the interior of the house. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I figured it out finally. It took me a little while to get it to where it made sense, but combining the floral hedge fence with the white fence, I think, did a whole lot for it, you know, adding in just some extra greenery here, and then a little seating area as well underneath that little piece of roof, which originally I thought the front door would have been under that, but it ended up moving around since, you know, I had some issues with the floor plan, but I think it made a cute little nook for a little seating area, which I thought was quite lovely. And we actually end up putting the basketball goal out to the left of this tiny home. And then of course you can see the mailboxes there between these back two tiny homes. And we end up putting like a path out there to it from the stairs there. And I can't remember if I swapped those stairs out or not. I kind of picked some stairs originally, and I didn't know what they were going to be, but I needed to make sure that the stairs are actually going to fit there and that your sim can actually get over there. So I can't remember though if I end up swapping them out or leaving them as that stone, but I thought it'd be kind of nice to put a fence around this little neighborhood. Like, it's just like a little enclosed space, and I just thought it looked really adorable. And of course you can see the fence. I left a gap there on the left because of the way the layout works with that tiny home. It kind of intersected in a really weird way, so I end up just putting like a bush over there so you can't see that there's a space. So hopefully that, you know, doesn't bother you, but that's why I left it that way, was just because it didn't look quite right when it was intersecting the house over there. And then I just wanted to put a little pathway between all of the houses, so you know, your sim has a really nice way to get to their home. And then adding in, of course, a trash can for each home. You don't need that. Of course, you can take those out and put a dumpster in if you'd like to, especially if you want your Sims to be able to go dumpster diving, which I feel like I've been doing that recently too in one of my own like save games. But, you know, that's totally up to you. I just thought it'd be cute to have separate little trash cans there. And I thought about putting some string lights around, but they just weren't fitting how I wanted them to. And I wanted to make sure to have some nice street lights out here, as well as some trees and everything, and really make it feel like it was really thought out. You know what I mean? And we end up putting in, I messed with the terrain just a little bit to get things to do what I wanted them to do. So we put some lights across this path here. Those are the lights from the Desert Luxe kit, in case you were wondering. I feel like I always forget that we have them, but they are pretty cute, like tiny little lights, and I feel like work really well for landscaping here. And of course I use a lot of landscaping out of Debug and Live Edit because I just can't help myself. We have like this really pretty, the blue and green like low-lying flowers there. I love those flowers, so making sure I'm using those. Of course, I do end up adding a sign in the front, kind of like it's a neighborhood sign, and I think I used the one from high school years. I tried, you know, I thought about using a bunch of different ones, but I felt like the high school years one fit really well, especially with the colors I was using here for all of the flowers and everything. And I do end up putting like a puck light inside of that fountain so that it lights up really nicely at night, because I feel like sometimes the fountains just look kind of dark. You know what I mean? If, you know, it's nighttime, which that sounds ridiculous. It's nighttime, of course it's dark, but it looks kind of shadowy. So I end up putting kind of like raising up a puck light almost into the fountain, if that makes sense. And you can see I brought out all of the signs I feel like in the game before I settled on this one, but I think it ended up looking really cute here. And oh, I will say that I wanted to add some of the, in cottage living we have this landscaping item in the debug live edit menu that is, it just looks like little wildflowers kind of over a large area. I wanted to put them and I forgot until I was done filming, so I do put those out front. So if you notice in the screenshots there's some extra flowers and stuff, that's why, because I honestly just forgot to add it in there. But I thought it'd be really cute to have a nice grill area along with a picnic table so the Sims could come out, either hang out with each other or they can all come grill since they do have tiny homes. And I did want to put a swing set in here as well, since Sims of all ages can use a swing set and would like using it. And I figured since there is like a grandkid that might come around, something like that, or if you do add kids into this lot, then you know, there's something for them to do as well. And then I end up putting in that like musical area, little stage thing from City Living over there as well, because I thought that'd be really cute. So if you do have a Sim that plays guitar, that kind of thing, they can go play out by the picnic table. And I thought about putting the well out here, but it was just really big and just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I do end up putting, like I said, the basketball goal over by the swing set, kind of maybe like the kid area over there. And then I put a basketball actually out there. And here's the weird part. When I went to go, like, it looks like a normal basketball, and then when I went to go play test it, that basketball was glowing like it was on fire or something, and I don't know why. Like, legitimately have never seen that, don't know why it was doing that. So I went back into build mode and there were two different basketballs, so I picked the other one and it wasn't doing that anymore. So I don't know what that was about. I just thought that was kind of funny, so I thought I would mention it. Again, no clue why it was doing that. Let me know if you've ever seen that before. But I don't think the basketball is actually like an item like the soccer ball and football they can use. I think the basketball is just gonna be there for decoration. I just kind of honestly liked it. And like I said, I feel like adding in gardening would be really nice too if you wanted to replace some of this area with a neighborhood garden, basically. I think that would be super adorable. And I do end up putting, it looks like this scout, well, it's this scout thing over there, which I think would be cool if you did have a kid on the lot, but I used it as almost like a neighborhood notice board, and I just didn't like the other ones we had in the game. So that's what that's supposed to be, if you're wondering why I ended up putting that there, since I know it's supposed to be like a kid item. I just thought it'd be really nice. And I wanted a way for, you know, a pathway for your Sims to really get to these areas. So I ended up using those stones. Those are from base game and out of the debug live edit menu, in case you were wondering, but I feel like it's a really nice way to do pathing. And part of the reason I do that too is I could use terrain paint, but in case there's the issue of it deleting and then all of a sudden there's just no pathway. So that's why I kind of layered the terrain paint along with the stones. I think that that helped a whole lot there. And I do end up just adding a little more, like a little more pocket of flowers over there, because I just thought that would be really cool. And just adding in some lights as well around the landscaping to make sure that your Sims can actually see at night if they're out wandering around the neighborhood. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.